The FBI warning about the rise of a despicable crime targeting young children, with AI only making this worse. It is called sextortion, threatening to distribute private or explicit photos of teens unless the child complies with their demands. The stress of this so intense, many have taken their own lives. And now lawmakers are taking new steps to try to protect our children. We are tracking multiple new bills to stop this, like the Combating Online Predators Act, the Stop Sextortion Act, the Kids Online Safety Act, just to name a few. Let's start with the Combating Online Predators Act. Here's what the sponsor, Representative Laurel, had to say.
Congress has a duty to protect children from online exploitation and ensure predators are held fully accountable. The Combating Online Predators Act does exactly that.
And to put this in perspective of just how tragically common this is, reports of child sextortion increased 7,200% between 2021 and 2022, primarily targeting boys ages 13 to 17, with victims paying their perpetrators between $100 and $500. Now, one of those tragic stories, 17-year-old James Woods, who was cyberbullied, extorted for money, harassed, and threatened online day and night until he simply could not take it anymore, ultimately deciding to take his own life in November of 2022. His mother, Tamia Woods, has since made it her life's mission to speak out against child extortion, launching the Do It for James Foundation, educating children and their parents about the dangers of these extortionists, and urging members of Congress to take action against them, to vote for the Kids Online Safety Act.
James never spoke to anyone. He had a wonderful, wonderful community that had his back, but yet he never spoke up. And so it's laws like this that would back our children and influence them to speak up and let them know that they're being victimized.
And we are so grateful to have Tamia Woods here, co-founder of the Do It for James Foundation, as well as the sponsor of the Combating Online Predators Act, Representative Laurel. Really appreciate both of you for taking the time and talking more about this. And Tamia, I want to start with you. Tell us a little bit more about your son, James. Tell us about his story.
James was just a wonderful, wonderful soul. I say it all the time. I thank God every day for allowing me to borrow his angel for 17 and a half years. Was such a humble young man, and he helped everyone. He made sure that he brightened everyone's day, made sure, even me, when I came home, he wanted to know how my day was. He was very determined, wanted to be a major in pre-law, and just a joy to be around. On November 18th, he was approached online by what we believe is 4 different people, initially a young woman, and he then received 200 messages in 19 and a half hours, ending his own life on November 19, 2022.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. And just looking at these photos, he seems like such a light and such an incredible young man. Tell me a little bit more about this. Have the perpetrators ever been found? Have they been brought to justice?
No. So unfortunately, James murderers, because that is what I refer to them as, they are located in the Ivory Coast. The Ivory Coast told Homeland Security that they would never release any natural born citizens to them. Therefore, we have not received justice. We will continue to fight. His case is still open, not only for him, but it also helps others who have been victims since his death. But as of right now, we have not received any justice for James.
I want to talk about your purpose, your foundation, the Do It for James Foundation, such incredible work that you're doing in the advocacy now. What would you say to families out there who say, hey, I talked to my kid, I know my kid, this wouldn't happen to them? It really struck me. You said that he had such a support system around him. I mean, I can't imagine you ever would have thought this could have happened to him.
This is nothing again, yes, Natasha, I never would have thought that I would be sitting in front of you today. But what I would tell parents is you have something that I did not have. I knew nothing about sextortion. We are really just speaking about it and trying to pass laws. Really, this year has been the heighten of it, or within the last year. What I would tell parents is, to talk to them. It is free. And yes, you may think that your kid may not become a victim. You may think that they would come to you if anything was like this was to happen. But we have to understand that people who are victims of sextortion are now sexually assaulted victims, and that is a different mindset. They don't know what they're doing. And these are young children who are going through a crisis. They're trying to figure it out themselves a lot of times, and they don't know who to trust. A lot of times, these murderers are creating a safe space, making them trust them. So when they break that trust, they don't know who to turn to. So I say, do this. Make sure we make conversations at the dinner table. Do whatever you can to continue to speak to your kids, whether you think that they would do it or not. You don't know what their friends would do either. So continue to have these conversations. Make sure that you are heard when you talk to your children, no matter what. Come to me. If you do something that you think is not right, you may not have made the best decision, you still come to me because we have your back. We have to make sure that we keep that in and instill that in our children's head.
Your
no
words
matter
are
what.
so powerful, and I know that they are resonating with so many families that are watching right now. Representative Lee, I want to bring you in here. Your law unanimously passed the House of Representatives last month. That is the first victory. We are still waiting on the Senate to vote for this now. Do you believe that this bill will pass the Senate? And what would you say tonight to any senators who are on the fence about this?
So I do believe that this bill is going to pass the Senate because this is the reality of where we see predators today exist online. This is where they're targeting our children, and we need to be sure that federal law keeps up with the reality of this crime, and it continues to grow exponentially. And James's story is exactly why this is so urgent. These are not statistics, they are not numbers, they are our children, precious, irreplaceable lives. So I do know that the Senate is interested in taking this up. Senator Ashley Moody from my home state of Florida has a companion bill in the Senate, and I believe that we will get this done. And it's what we must do to ensure that our prosecutors and our federal law enforcement have the tools they need.
Tell me more. What does this do? What does this bill? What does this law actually do?
So it specifically makes threats to use intimate images a federal crime. So when one of these predators contacts one of our children and tries to coerce or threaten them by saying that they're going to take these images and put them out on the internet, it explicitly makes that a crime. Right now, our statutes related to child sex abuse materials don't actually describe this behavior because it is a new trend that our predators have started using against our children. So this makes sure that our law enforcement and our prosecutors have the exact right crime that they need to go after these predators and make sure that we get them arrested and locked up.
Really appreciate that, Congresswoman. Tamia, I want to bring you back in here. With AI, what is on your mind about the future of what extortion of our children is going to look like in this country? Are we prepared?
I don't think we are. A lot of times, crimes, we're always 2 steps behind, and we definitely need to catch up and catch up right away. With AI, it's hard for us to even tell the difference between what's real and what's fake right now. And what that does, Natasha, is that actually prevents our kids from even coming forth, even if it's not them. Imagine if they're scared to tell their parents, like, this is not me, but it looks just like them. So it's scary, not only what they're able to do as criminals, but also to build that trust and what it prevents for the kids as well. And I'm so scared for that.
I hear it. Such a powerful conversation and so important. I am honored to speak with you both. Tamia Woods, Congresswoman Lee, appreciate both of you for making the time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And a reminder, if you or anyone you know is struggling with mental health, help is available 24 hours a day. You can either call or text the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988 and speak with a trained counselor.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.